So it's time to plan out my November planting, and I'm going to be using this bed that I had initially planted out back in July. So we've finished most of the things. There's still a few things going, like I've got some radish that are still going to seed. I've still got my flowers, so my beneficial flowers, and randomly there is a fennel that has grown and I didn't plant. So I'm not sure where this has come from, but I'm rolling with it. So basically I am going to be planting out some corn, some cucumbers, some beans, and also some lettuce. So it's a similar combination to what I did back in September. But I am going to leave a few things in here. So I guess a lot of the examples that I have done in the past couple of months have been fully bare beds. So this is sort of an example of a bed where I've still got some things going, and all I do is I top up with compost and plant around what I've already got growing, so it's not pulling everything out. So back in July we planted this garden bed out, and we had some peas climbing the trellis, we had broccoli here, then we had a row of lettuce, a row of beetroots, a row of spinach, and then a row of root veggies, which consisted of carrots and radish. So we harvested a lot of the greens within 6 weeks, as well as the radish, and then I did another row of the lettuce. So then we got a lot of the broccoli, and it was the peas, the carrots, and lastly we had the beetroot. So it's done really well in that sort of 90 to 120 day turnaround, which is my goal for these types of beds. So my aim is to really just have a new bed planted out every month, so I've always got something to harvest. It's kind of like shopping every month. So with this bed here, I want to get in some summer staples, things that are going to grow for us over the really, really hot months. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do corn, I'm going to have the trellis for some cucumbers, and I'm going to do some lettuce on the eastern side to protect from that afternoon sun. And then I'm going to put some beans around the edges so they can hang off. So with corn, I always like to do in grids, and always a minimum of around about 12 plants. That way you get maximum pollination. If you don't get that pollination, you don't get the kernels, because every single silk requires pollination, a bit of pollen on the silk of the corn ear. So if you're not getting that, you're not going to have fully formed cobs. And the easiest way to do that is plant lots and plant them in grids. So I'm just going to lay everything out before I commit to positioning. So these cucumbers are called Market More, and I planted these about 4 weeks ago in the seed raising trays. I normally plant my cucumbers direct, but I was having awful luck with them. The corn I am using as well is just a hybrid sweet corn. I find the heirloom ones the kids don't like as much. They're not as sweet as your hybrid varieties. Now I do already have corn growing out the front, but because it's the same variety, I'm going to be okay with growing another batch. Normally if I do a different variety, I will wait for it to at least be at the flowering stage before I sow the seeds. As you can see, this is a little bit off that yet. Usually around about the 2 to 3 mark is around the distance of time in between corn plantings if I want to do something like a sweet corn or a popcorn. So these lettuces were well overdue. I think these ones were actually planted 2 months ago. But with the mini winnies, they're actually doing pretty well. So that's these pots, they've got the air pruning strips on them. So these lettuces are a minuet, like a bronze minuet called Marvel of 4 Seasons, and they do really well here. I guess this variation is kind of very similar to the Three Sisters method, where they have your corn, your melon, which is kind of, in this instance, is my cucumber, and beans. But I'm not doing climbing beans. I'm just going to do some regular green beans. I actually think I'll do a Cherokee wax bean. So now I do plant quite intensively. I know lots of people comment on that, but that's just the way that I roll. I don't, spaces of premium, I don't have acreage. I'm on quite a regular sized suburban block and I try to get in as much as I can. So again, I'm just planting around these radishes that are still going, and they might come out before these are all finished, and then I might put some lettuce up the side there. Now, a lot of people say that fennel affects other plants growing near it, but I actually haven't experienced that. I'm not sure why. I mean, the sweet Alice is doing really well. There's some growing near our zucchini over there. It's doing really well. It's not being affected. So the other thing that I have, which is some Swiss chard. So this is actually called Perpetual Gator, and it's just a really good, they call it a spinach, but it's part of the beet family. It does look like a Swiss chard to me. It's just got the green stems and leaves. So I'm just going to put a couple of those in here as well. I mean, this is what's great about, I have a thing called space fillers, which I plant lots of seeds, and it just means I've got something that I can just jam into spaces where I have them. So I'm just gonna, I mean, I'm probably going way too close there, but that's fine. Now I'm just gonna do some bean seeds. I just went and grabbed these from my front garden. These are actually green strike. They're like a round bean. I just missed a few when I was picking, and these are perfect. They're all dried out, ready to go. And there's something about your own locally adapted seeds that just do so much better. So just save as many seeds as you can from your own garden. Whoop. And I guess that the fennel is a testament to that. It must have been in some of the soil that I had moved into this wicking bed. So I'm just going to do for the beans 2 seeds per hole. They'll probably all germinate as soon as they're quite fresh. Don't get fresher than that. So those would have been planted back in August, these bean seeds. So I'm just doing these so they can sort of hang over the edge here. They don't take up too much room. And so there we go, that's it, all planted out, ready to go. Easy, too fast. I am going to put a shade cloth over this because I think it's about to get to 30 degrees here. First day of November. We are basically summer for us, it's not really spring anymore. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a mulch and water in with some seaweed emulsion and put the shade cloth over. I'm just going to wet it down first, and then we'll go in with the seaweed emulsion. Now I just use a sugarcane mulch because I live in Queensland and it's readily available. I know down south the pea straw is more abundant, lucerne. I prefer the shorter cut versions just because it breaks down a bit better. And you see here, this stuff here, that's the bale stuff that you can get that hasn't been really chopped down. It just doesn't break down. And when you're turning over beds as often as I am, it's nice to have it, not have the big chunks when you're planting out. I'll pop a link to wicking beds. We've got these wicking beds out here because we have a tree root situation. I would prefer to be growing directly into the earth, but unfortunately the tree roots have made this area impossible for us to grow anything. But it's good, it saves water. It's more hands off. I only have to fill a reservoir once, maybe twice a week when things are really, really growing. And I'm not going to cover where I planted those bean seeds just to make sure that they've got plenty of space to get up. Now, even though it is a wicking bed, these roots are going to be quite shallow, obviously, so I will have to hand water until they really get going, because I don't have irrigation obviously set up on the wicking beds. So this combo, if you stumble across this video later in the season, I would plant this right up until February, this layout. These kind of plants, if in the subtropics in Australia. And you could start as early as August as well. I'm just going to pop the shade cloth over this now, but that's it. That's my layout. Okay, some other things that I'm going to get in the garden. I've got some capsicums, which I'm going to put in the front garden. I've got some loofah and okra, and also our orange sweet potatoes. So these ones are ones that I have just chucked in the aquaponics to get roots, and I've actually got little sweet potatoes on them already. So I've got about 8 there, but I do have probably about 3 or 4 in another bed that are popping up that I'm going to move into my orange sweet potato bed. So let's get started with these. Now I'm going to take a risk here and put an okra in the center of this bed. And I know okras get quite large, but I'm going to try it, see how we go. So I'll start with him in the middle. You can see that this was a sweet potato bed in the past because I already have one growing there. And what I like to do, if you missed last month's video with my sweet potatoes, is I like to take cuttings. As soon as they pop up, I usually move them into water, and I get about, for this size bed, which is 90 centimeters by 90 centimeters, I try to get about 12 slips. And what I find is by doing that, instead of having one and just burying it as it grows, what I find is by the time I come to harvest, which is usually late March, early April, I've got a bunch of perfect sized ones as opposed to one massive one and lots of teeny tiny ones. So I just find that this has been the best method for us to get as many sweet potatoes as we can out of these little beds. So these were just in our aquaponics, and there's no fish in there at the moment. There's nothing, no nutrients. It needs a big clean out. So you can tell the quality of the water by the leaves of these. They should really kick into gear with a bit of love from this soil. And in terms of soil prep for sweet potatoes, I don't really do anything. I did add a little bit of the 5-in-1 fertilizer, which is like a compost made of mushroom compost and cow manure, and it's got a bunch of trace elements in it. I find if I don't have to really sort of fill the beds with organic matter, I can just use that to give everything a bit of a boost. And I do dig it in a bit because it can be quite strong as well. So we will see how this okra goes in here. Now I'm just going to water that in and mulch. So this bed here is like one of my biennial beds, which means I've got plants in here that will grow a couple of years or take longer, like cabbages. They take forever. I think I planted these back in March. They're still going. This is my sacrificial cabbage. I leave it in because it's the one that's getting attacked by bugs. I have harvested a few already. I've got one little one that's due to be harvested soon. So as these come out, I'm going to be replacing them with my summer stuff, which is capsicum. So this is just a yellow wonder, and I'm going to put that in the corner here. Again, I already prepped this with a bit of the 5-in-1. So when I harvest my cabbages, I don't actually pull the whole thing out. You can see here there's a stalk here. I leave it in and I let that break down, and it just sort of creates, because I'm no dig gardener, that's how I usually do it. It just breaks down over time. I am going to leave the tag there so I know what variety that one is, because I've got a lot going at the moment. Now for my loofahs. I normally grow these in the aquaponics, but I'm going to do them on the arch here this year, so one on each side. So these create those loofah sponges. Yes, it looks like a big cucumber. It's not a sea sponge. It's just one of those things that is quite resilient when it gets so hot and wet. A staple for us here. You can eat the young fruit, kind of like a zucchini if you're not into collecting it as a sponge. I'm just gonna put that there. A lot of my snake bean seeds that I planted last month actually got eaten. So only got one. I'm gonna have to do some more of those. So I still do have some loofah seedlings left, but I am going to extend my hydroponic auto pot system and grow them via hydroponics and see how they go. Yeah, I'm just finding that my reservoir with my nutrient solution is taking a long time for it to drain just with these capsicums. I mean, they look amazing, but I like to get more use out of that solution. So that's the plan, is to get another section of my auto pot and put the loofah in it and see how it grows. So just in the greenhouse now, and I'm going to be planting some seeds to be planting out in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Normally I do a lot, so if you go back through my videos, I do a lot, but because it's getting so much hotter, will be winding back around December, January, and then kicking back up into gear around February with the seed raising. But I'm just going to do some lettuce. So I've got this butter crunch. These are my seeds. You get them from my website. I get asked that question all the time. So these are ones that I curate for the subtropical Australian climate. And so these are the butter crunch seeds that I'm going to be sowing. So this is what they are. This is what they look like grown. So this is just a cracky hydroponic system, I guess. And they're looking a bit wilty, so I'm not sure. Yeah, they're still good, but yeah, it's just so hot right now. But that's the butter crunch. They're kind of like I guess it's not quite a minuet. It's kind of like a mix between a minuet and an oak leaf variety. They don't have big fat leaves, but they don't have the really, really skinny leaves. So they're a good one for us to grow here in the warmer months. So that's all I'm planting today. So I'm just using the wind strip pots, which have been really good. I do find that these can be a little bit too small this size. Things sort of, if I'm not onto it with the watering, they can dry out quickly. So if I was to invest in them again, I would just go with the medium-sized ones, which are really good all-rounder. I'm actually out of seed raising mix, so this is regular potting mix, hence the big chunks. Don't recommend it. Okay, so I think I killed my raspberry canes, which is growing in this pot. It could come back, but I'm not 100% sure. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plant some pumpkins. I've had a really rotten season with pumpkins. The butternuts that I planted back in, I think it was September, could have been August. They got a lot of powdery mildew and just didn't do anything. And I did have a Queensland blue growing in my wicking bed, but what was happening was it was sucking dry all of the moisture, so it would go through that real flood and drain. So all of the fruit ended up with blossom end rot if it didn't get stung by fruit fly. So I'm going in with some more butternut pumpkins in this pot. I need to up my pumpkin game because we do eat them, and it should technically be an easy crop to grow, but when we're competing with the Queensland fruit fly, which seem to sting the fruit just even before the flowers set. So I'm having that problem with my zucchini at the moment. They're not even getting their flowers open before they are getting stung. So I'm just gonna try it. I mean, worst case scenario is it gets going and I have to put a net over the whole thing and then come out and individually hand pollinate, which is kind of what I'm doing at the moment anyway, because we have such a lack of bees. So pumpkin in the rainbow pot, we'll see how it goes. So that's it for what we're planting here in November in subtropical Queensland, Australia. If you need more inspiration, check out our August, September and October beds. They are all things that we can plant now in the subtropics. Just stay away from the carrots and any heirloom tomatoes. Go for your cherries or things like your pink Thai eggs or Roma tomatoes that will handle that humidity a bit better. If you are looking for more inspiration on what you can plant in the subtropics, I do have a free PDF download on my website that you can grab by subscribing to my email list. Just head on over to loveofdirt.com.au and you can grab that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.